How is it going, folks? Stu here. Listen, I'm a firm believer that there are three main pillars to any hearty life. Good friends, chocolate bourbon biscuits, Keanu Reeves shooting people in the face with a gun. And this week in cinemas, we are very fortunate to have a film which ticks two of those three pillars. Is Chocolate Bourbon Biscuits the musical? It's not really. It's John Wick Chapter 4. Keanu is doing things again, and I'm all here for it. It's again directed by Chad Stahelski. It is again starring Keanu Reeves. I don't feel like I need to explain what's going on in a John Wick film at this point. If you've seen one, or have even heard of one, the premise doesn't really matter, does it? After the events of the last one, and of the one before that, and of the one before that one, John Wick's in a little bit of a pickle, isn't he? And there's a new baddie in town for John Wick to point his gun at and sort of just go a little bit nuts at for about 3 hours. This is arguably the biggest one of the franchise in many different regards, and I was very excited for it because I'm a fan of John Wick. It's always fun watching Keanu Reeves just shred motherfuckers for a few hours in the cinema, so there's not a huge amount that a John Wick film needs to really do to satisfy a lot of my cravings and urges as an audience member here. This one does it all though. I was very satisfied, thoroughly satisfied watching John Wick Chapter 4. Keanu Reeves, man, it's just awesome still to watch Keanu Reeves smash people up with a variety of different weapons. Chad Stahelski, as a director, just understands the urges and desires of someone that is watching one of these action films, right? It's obviously been incredibly entertaining so far on the last 3 films to watch him, I guess, kind of evolve as an action director into, I mean, a muscly action director. But this one, in many ways, very much feels like a director and stunt team just kind of flexing and then flexing again and just flexing again for a few hours. It is kind of non-stop, relentless action, which is pretty much what we've all come to expect and want from a John Wick film. It is crazy, some of the stuff that they pull off in this film. And I know that there is a tendency to sometimes talk in hyperbole when we see films like this with action films, and I've done it before, where you come out of it and you go, that was the craziest shit I've ever seen. And, you know, some people will hear that and go, I don't think it was, but it will be fun anyway, let's go check it out. I mean it, guys. This film has some of the craziest action set pieces I've seen in a film ever, just full stop. There are stunt sequences in here that left my jaw swung. My jaw was swung. I obviously don't want to spoil things, but there are things that Keanu Reeves does in here with certain weapons that made me so giddy, it was frankly alarming. And that's something that I have grown to absolutely love and adore about Chad Stahelski's approach to action, being a stuntman himself, is that he is someone that clearly, truly understands the physicality of action fight sequences, and not just in the sense of it's cool to watch people punch each other, but in a sense of using it to mine so many different kind of feelings and emotions and tones. It's not just cool for the sake of being cool, although it obviously is a film which, at this point, revels in just pushing and heightening those cool shots and moments to the max. It is a very maximalist approach to action, but it's also incredibly playful and fun and funny and silly, and it's aware of itself, and it's aware of when moments need to be pushed into the absurd and need to be pushed into slapstick. I don't want this review to just be me gushing about stunt work, but I guess if there was ever a review to be doing that, it's got to be a John Wick film, right? But the stunt work on display here is so insane. It is so insane that I can't believe that people are able to do it this effectively in a film this big. And there is a lot of performers performing on screen for us here, and every one of them, when they start moving together, is just a joy to watch. Obviously, Keanu Reeves, I just love Keanu Reeves. He smashes it. No surprises. Don't feel like I need to talk about it much. He's just great. He is as good as you'd want him to be from a John Wick film. He hasn't just suddenly stopped being good as John Wick. No, he's still great. And we've got other familiar faces from the franchise coming back here. We've got Ian McShane, Lawrence Fishburne. The two of those still doing really good stuff. And I'd say probably having the most fun we've seen from them in the franchise at this point. Lawrence Fishburne just appears in these films and says the stupidest lines, but is having the time of his life doing it. But it's the new faces that are thrown into the mix here that are seriously delivering on some goods, because they have got some people in this film, let me tell you. Donnie Yen's in the film. I feel I shouldn't have to say much else, but he's a legend, obviously. And was there ever any doubt that they weren't going to utilize Donnie Yen to the max in a John Wick film? And he, again, is a really fun and interesting use of physicality in a different way to the other performers in the film. He's so good. But there are other action legends in there as well. Scott Adkins is in the mix in a fat suit. Arguably one of the silliest characters and silliest moments and action scenes of the film. But it works, and it's refreshing, and it's different, and it's great, and he crushes. Hiroyuki Sanada's in the film, and again, I feel like all of these people I could just be like, they're legends, good, move on. But he is a legend, obviously, and he's great to watch in the film as well. I want to shout out as well Rina Sawayama. I believe this is her first acting gig, because she's obviously a musician. She was remarkably awesome in the film. Bill Skarsgård's also in the film, and listen, I got to level with you guys. He wasn't good. I think we should just brush. He wasn't very good. It's not just that he has a terrible French accent and doesn't really ever feel like he fits it, because that's what I want from a bad guy in a John Wick film, I think. Like, I actually reckon that would have been a good thing about the bad guy here. But for some reason, it just didn't really work coming from him. I just didn't feel like he brought enough to it. I wanted to see him go really wild. I'll tell you who didn't drop the ball, though, who I don't think I've seen in anything before, who just sort of came out of nowhere in this film and was just cool as shit. Shamir Anderson, what the hell's up with how cool that dude is? I feel like outside of the action, stuff is starting to get a bit clunky now, right? And that lore and world building that I mentioned had been growing throughout the franchise. It is starting to get a little bit kind of frustrating in the sense that it just sort of stops things every time it gets to that at this point. Like in the earlier films, I don't mind clunky and cheesy and over-the-top world building in the John Wick franchise. I don't mind all of the nonsensical names they give everything. It's fun, it's over-the-top, and I enjoy it. But at a certain point, it just becomes a lot of the same stuff, and you start to sort of switch off from it. And I do feel like in this film, with a runtime as long as it has, at a near 3-hour full feature length, it just, yeah, some of those moments did start to really hit me a little bit in terms of being aware of how long things are going on for. I think there is an easy tendency with films like this to sort of go, hey, it's big, cool action, so it doesn't need to do anything outside of that. But it also almost definitely would have benefited from a little bit of trimming down. It doesn't actually need to be 3 hours long, does it, really? But yeah, it is still awesome as hell to watch Keanu Reeves screw guys up for extended periods of time. I don't know where I land on this, do I? But really, if you're a fan of John Wick, you have to know that this is delivering everything you're going to want from a John Wick film. So do get excited. Let yourself get hyped. It's going to smash things for you. It satisfies that feeling that I've got from every John Wick film prior to this in the cinema, which is having those moments where you're in a full audience watching the screen and every single person is wincing and reacting to the hits as they see them on screen. I feel like I am going to wrap this review up because I could honestly just sit here just saying the same things about how cool the action was and all of that stuff. So I don't want to bore you guys. It's a cracking film. Big fan of this one. Not sure where it lands in the overall rankings of my John Wick films for me. I don't think it's my favorite. I'm not sure it's my least favourite, but it is out in cinemas everywhere on Friday, so if you are getting a chance to check it out, if you're excited for it, or if you've seen it already, let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, and let me know where it ranks in terms of the John Wick franchise for you guys. Be very interested to know. I imagine everyone's got different rankings. Of course, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see me talk about more shit, go ahead and click subscribe. The button is down there for that, as well as a link to my socials, my Letterboxd, and a 30-day free trial code for MUBI, which means you can watch all of the amazing stuff they've got on there for no money for a month, which is too good a deal. Check that out down below. I will see you guys soon for some more thoughts on more films, but until next time, I think I need to just go lie down and let the ringing subdue from my ears, because good lord, the punches in this film, they go through you, my guys. They go through you.